Hey everybody, welcome back to Darvanalee Designs Studio. For those that don't know, my name's Nicole Reed and today we are here for my weekly Stitch with me. Look at me go, 2 weeks in a row. Alright, so let's get started. And welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for taking some time out of your day and clicking on this video and giving it a watch. If you are new here and you've yet to subscribe, make sure you hit that subscribe button and the little bell icon beside it, and then that way you're not going to miss out on any future uploads. And while you're there, don't forget to give us a thumbs up and maybe share my channel with your friends and your family. Alright, so we are here for another installment in Snow Village. This is turning into a little bit of a stitch along, and I would just like to say thank you so much to Chrissy for leaving me a comment in the Facebook group about being inspired to pull yours out and work on it. So while we're talking about inspiration, if you've got this chart, why don't you go and grab it and put some stitches into it while we're sitting here and having a bit of a chit chat. All right, so grab your cuppa, grab the craft of your choice or Snow Village, and let's get into it. So you can see here, this is what the overall picture, it's not a great picture, but this is what the overall picture is going to look like. I'm doing it as one piece, so this is how mine's going to be. I am stitching mine on a 16 count Ada. I believe it's 16 count. I can't remember. Anyway, it's either 16 or 14 count. It looks a little bit like 16 count. So, actually, sorry, it looks a little bit like 14 count. I will have to dig out my cross-stitch journal because I've got it all written in there and I don't have it with me at the moment. But I'm stitching this on Ada. It is called Lagoon. It is hand-dyed by myself. And we do have some of these fabrics available for sale. If you head over to our website, which is darvanaleedesigns.com.au, you will find all of that there. And I'm going to try out the new shopping tag because because YouTube now has a shopping tab that I'm able to use because I'm a monetized channel, which means that I should be able to link stuff into there. So I'm going to try it out. We'll see how it goes. I'll let you know on the community tab. If you're wondering where to find any of these tabs, you will be able to find them all on the channel homepage. So check that out. I haven't activated the shopping tab yet because I'm still learning about it. It's just rolled out. Alright, so we are working on Peppermint Parlor, which is the second block, and that's what the actual block looks like when it's finished. I've got a few things to go. I started doing around the window and all the rest of it, and we're also going to I'm also going to let you know that I do have a starting and finishing video coming up. So when I say a starting and finishing, is with the threads, because we had a lovely subscriber last week ask me a question about that she didn't see how I was stopping and I was finishing. So I did my best to explain it in the comments, but I thought, well, you know what, there might be some other people out there. And then I thought about my own cross stitch journey and how hard it was to find informational videos. Like, there was plenty of FlossTube, and of course when someone starts doing FlossTube, they generally already know what they're doing and they just get on with showing us what they're doing and whatnot. So I thought, you know what, it'll be a very good time to do some of these videos. So I'm going to be setting up the camera, setting up my stand here, and then I'm going to do some starting and stopping, the different techniques and all that sort of stuff. So that is what I've got planned for this week's filming. Next week's filming, not this week. I've got production and layout of the magazine this week. So let's get started. I'm going to work around the window. I'm going to finish that off. I'm going to try and finish the door off as well. I've still got the chimney to do on the house, so we've got the little chimney and the smoke there, so I've got to do that. And then we'll be there's some stuff inside the window, which is some little peppermints and some candy canes, and so I'm going to continue doing that, I think, and see how much we can get done. I've still got the doorknob to put in on the door as well. So let's get stitching. Hopefully you're having a wonderful day wherever you may be. My day is pretty good at the moment. No one's home, which is great. So it won't be long and they'll all be home and asking me questions and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, but how's that? 2 weeks in a row, and I'm on time as well. There's nothing happening in the neighborhood, which is absolutely fabulous. We can take a breather from me having to chop and change my filming schedule. You know, that's unavoidable. Where I film on my property is right at the front of the property, so it makes it very hard when I've got neighbors doing construction or the electric company was the other one. Sometimes we have school holidays and all the kids are out the front, and it makes it like you don't hear it a lot of the time, but every now and again it gets pretty rowdy out there. So yeah, sometimes I don't get to film, but I'm here this week, which is good, and I'm on time, which is even better. Doesn't happen too often with the Stitch With Me. Sometimes they end up going up later in the day, but this will be going up when it's supposed to be going up, which is in the morning on a Monday. I've found my stitching. Did you see my floss tube? Did anybody go and watch my floss tube that's here today? If you didn't, that's the last video that just went up just before this one. So go and check that out. I found my stitching mojo. It was hiding. It was hiding in a warm place because it's been so cold here. But anyway, I'm getting back into it. I can't promise that I'll be as prolific as I was before, where I was stitching 6 or 7 projects a week, and I can't guarantee that I'm going to turn up every week for a floss tube, but at this point in time I'm going to try for weekly. The 2-week thing, it just wasn't, while it gives me more opportunity to work on more projects for the 2 weeks, it really wasn't working for me, to be honest. Like, I'd get to that 2-week mark, and because I had that 2-week break, I don't know, something in my head must be bloody broken, because as soon as I give myself a longer time frame, I will procrastinate. So if I give myself a shorter time frame, I don't procrastinate. I just get in and get it done. It's been the same with everything, and I should have known that. It was just that I was feeling a little bit burnt out, I think, and it was just time for me to take a break, and I've taken that break now, so that's good. I don't have to worry about it. All right, so I'm just going to park that there till later because that's a really long thread. Oh, actually, I won't. I will finish that off because I don't need any more green on this side. So what I'm going to do is I will still just park it like I just did then, but I'll do it up in here and it'll get buried under the peppermints. Yeah, so I think for me, I just need to do the weekly updates, even if it's only for 15 minutes, it doesn't matter. So yeah, and I think that has been the biggest issue for me, is that I have struggled to like with procrastination. Basically, I just kept procrastinating. I really don't understand why I was doing that, because I still want to stitch and everything, but I did lose my mojo for a little while, as I talked about, and it seems to have come back now. Like, I've set up in my room, and I feel a lot more comfortable in there, and I've got my little trolley in there with all my projects on it. So I think for the foreseeable future that's going to really work for me. So I think that that's where I'm going to hang out and do my stitching until summertime, and then it's a bit warmer, and then I've got a couch out here that I can do it. But I find that the TV really distracts me and I don't get much stitching in. Like, if I'm sitting there and I'm not watching the TV program that Brendan's watching and I've got an audiobook in, I can stitch away. But sometimes we want to watch a show together. So like at the moment we're watching Breaking Bad, and oh my god, I'm up to season 3, and oh my god, that it's just starting to, like, oh, Walter White, in some of the things he done in the last season, oh my goodness. But I'm not advocating for letting someone, I know I'm laughing, I laugh in the most inopportune time, so just excuse that, that's just a tick I have. there was a scene in it, like I think that most people have seen Breaking Bad. So there's a scene in it where Jesse has hooked up with this chick. He's living next door to her and they've hooked up together. And I just needed a sip of coffee then. And they're getting on the gear together and having a fat time, or they think they're having a fat time. And and I should have known when she said, like, and this is a spoiler, so if you haven't seen it, I'm sorry, but like I should have known when she was giving the heroin, and like they were taking a cocktail of heroin and ice or meth, and so anyway, I should have twigged that when she said that, oh, she gave him the heroin and he sort of went off into La La Land. And when she said, oh, baby, you need to have the pillow behind you so if you throw up in your sleep, I should have known that something was like that was going to come. But what I didn't expect was they got on the gear one night, like, and Walter and Jesse were having a falling out because he was getting on the gear all the time and he just wasn't, he wasn't being productive or anything like that. And it was sad to watch him go downhill like that. Like those two together were just not good together. And anyway, I was sitting there and I'm thinking to myself, something's coming. Something surely is going to come. Anyway, they were that off their face that Walter actually broke into the house, took all the ice that they had, or meth that they had, made, took and I think there was like a ton, so he was off his face for that. And then he went that back, like he took that and they got a substantial amount of money for the amount that they'd made. I think it was like 600,000 or something. And then Jesse and the girl were partying on and they were getting on the gear and just having a fat time. Like you could see once she's seen the money, you could see the greed come out into her and what she was going to do and all this sort of stuff. And then anyway, I think if my memory serves correctly, Walter was trying to get hold of Jesse and couldn't get hold of him. And so anyway, he went around there and they just got on the gear together and they were off chops. And he broke in. They had no idea that he was in there, and because he was trying to get into him, they had no idea that he'd got in there. And when he went in there, he was trying to wake Jesse up, and the girl, like they were sleeping on their sides, spooning one another, and the girl rolled onto her back. And I'm sitting there watching Walter try to wake Jesse up and all the rest of it, and getting very frustrated. And then the girl started to cough, so she started to vomit in her sleep and cough. This is a bit graphic, so if you don't like it, skip this part. But anyway, and she was choking on her vomit, and Walter White stood there. But the reason he stood there was because she blackmailed him. He took the money. He took the money and wouldn't give it back to Jesse because he didn't want him to, get off chops all the time and blow all his money. He wanted him to do the right thing. And so it was pretty full on to watch, and I'm like, oh my god, I can't believe he went there. But he just stood there and watched it, and then he goes to the pub and he's sitting there with the girl's father, and like he doesn't realize until like later on down the track some more shit happens and whatnot. But I'm like, I just looked at Brendan because Brendan had watched it before. I'm like, I did not see that coming. Like, he's sitting there watching it. He's humouring me because we started watching Better Call Saul, and Saul is in Breaking Bad, and we got to the point where like for the most part I could watch it because it's the making of Saul sort of thing, like where he came from and how he got to where he is. And so that was fine. And then I said, oh, there was some things and some characters in Better Call Saul that are in Breaking Bad. And Brendan kept saying, yes, you probably should start watching Breaking Bad. So I ended up relenting. I'm like, all right, let's watch Breaking Bad. And there's only 5 or 6 seasons or whatever it is, so it's not going to be taken, and we're already up to season 3. But yeah, I'm just like, oh. And then some things, like, it's just brought all the character, like, I can see where they were going with it, and it's like where the characters are and how they play a part and all the rest, all that sort of stuff. So Better Call Saul is before, like the timeline before Breaking Bad, even though Better Call Saul came out after Breaking Bad. And like the guy that plays Jimmy in Better Call Saul and plays Saul in Breaking Bad, I don't really rate him much as a character, but his character's only just come into Breaking Bad, so I'm not really rating him as much. But because they've got the other show, Better Call Saul, I think he's better in that one. Like, his acting is a lot better, his character development is a lot better, and of course that's going to happen because this is after the fact. Like, it's after Breaking Bad. In Breaking Bad, he just started out in that character and all the rest of it. So, you know, and it's sort of like it's you know, you watch Pirates of the Caribbean and you see Johnny Depp in that one, and yeah, the character's good, but then you watch Pirates of the Caribbean, and if you look at the characters in the, and by the time you get to whatever one they're up to now, Captain Jack Sparrow is a lot better, like just the character development. And so I prefer over the character of Saul in Breaking Bad isn't doing it for me. Like, I can see where he wanted to go with the character, but I don't think he had I don't know, because I'm only up to season 3. He may come back into it a lot better, like a lot more in the future episodes. But yeah, I'm sort of I'm not rating him that much, to be honest, but you know, it is what it is. And but I'm really, really liking it, and I'm up to season 4 of Lucifer, so that's, I play catch up on TV. I never watch it when it's on TV, when the rest of the world seems to be watching everything. I'm always late to the party on TV shows. On that, the only one I'm never going to watch is my cat's trying to get in, is Walking Dead, because I don't like it. I've seen episodes here and there, because Brendan was, when he was watching that, he was 2 weeks on, 2 weeks off, and so for 2 weeks of the month when he was home for lunch and stuff like that, he was watching that. And you know what I can't stand? The sound of the zombies eating someone. I just can't. If I could watch it without sound, that'd be great. I'd be fine, but I don't know. And I like creepy movies. I love creepy movies. I love watching slasher films and all that. But I don't know what it is about the fact that these zombies are eating human brains. And the sound effects. And for all those that love Walking Dead, you'll probably go and watch it now and go, oh, she's so right. It's just gross. I don't know. There's something about that sound that just really, really, really turns me off, and it just, I just can't watch it. Like, I'd go in to sit down and he'd start watching it, and I'd be just like, can we not? Because I'm trying to eat my lunch here. I'm going to end up bringing it back. And at that stage, my desk was right behind the lounge, and so if I did hurl, it would have went all over him. So yeah, but that's probably the only show that I'm not going to watch. And I've been I get together with a group of friends, so Gail, Michelle, Morgana and Jenny, and I don't know if Jenny has watched Schitt's Creek, but I know that Morgana and Gail and Michelle have, and they absolutely go on about it all the time and absolutely love it. So I started watching it. There's some funny moments and stuff like that, but I don't like it. I like it, but it's not great. Can you hear my cat? I don't know if you can hear that. My cat is at my door. She's got her paw and she's trying to open the door, but the door's a little bit stuck at the moment. Normally she can flick it open, and but the door's a little bit stuck at the moment because of all the rain we've had. I've got to get Brendan to bring me some WD. The rails are a little bit stiff, and he's going to bring some of that back today. And she's there trying to get in. Cheeky bugger. But yeah, so I'm enjoying sort of revisiting, like I started watching Lucifer when it first came out. I think I started watching it, but then I got really busy and I had Mia here, and there's some shows that you just cannot watch when there are kids around. Well, I don't like to anyway. Alright, so So you can see here, so for finishing and stuff like that, one of the questions was that I had was how do I finish? So you can see here that I'm stitching, and the green one is now going in that diagonal, so it's buried underneath that, and the red one I've just finished here, and I've just pulled it out, and I'm just going to leave it there, but I'm going to get rid of that green thread so it's out of my way. And then I'll do the next peppermint, and it'll cover that red thread, and then I can snip that off at the fabric, and then it's buried and I don't have to worry about going back to it. But I've got to find what color that I need, because I've run out of thread. Cherry tomato. So cherry tomato is a classic Colorworks one, and I've got coffee and all sorts of stuff here. So cherry tomato is this color here, and it is classic Colorworks. And I got this as a kit as in its entirety. So when the Fat Quarter Shop done this as a stitch along, I think they did it, I can't remember, but anyway, they had the kits. It might have been a club, like a stitching club or something, they set it up as. I had got the Chalkful one, and I really enjoyed getting that because they came with the fabric, they came with the floss, they came with the chart, and it was all inclusive, and it was a really good way to get. And that was right back when I first started stitching a few years ago. When the Snow Village one came out, I thought, you know what, they're good value for money. A little bit exy on the shipping, but they sent out all the floss. The first chart, which was the center banner, which had Snow Village on it, that was the first one they sent out. So this one here. And they sent all the floss with it, and they sent the fabric. Now, the fabric was called French Rain, and it was an even weave I got. I think it was an even weave. I can't remember. I'd have to have a look. I think it was an even weave, but it was like a French blue, and it was very dark, and it was all one color. And while it looks great on it, like it was very similar to this blue that's in the background here, but it looked heaps darker than what the pictures did when I got it in real life. Like normally it's the other way around, but it just was a little bit too dark for my liking. So I decided that I wasn't going to use that one. I started it, and I did one where I finished this block here. I think it was this block, I can't remember, but anyway, I decided that I didn't like it. I really did not like the look of the fabric and the colors against the fabric, and I didn't like the feel of the fabric either. I know that's weird, but anyway, I didn't like the feel of it. And so I decided that I was just going to restart it again. And then when I started dyeing fabric, I come up with this color here, which is called Lagoon, and I put the threads up against it, and it just looks so much better. And it had the mottling as well, which gave it a little bit more dimension, in my opinion. In my humble opinion. I just liked it so much better, so that's why I have now restarted it. And then I was going to do them as individual pieces and have them on my Christmas tree, or as little pillows in dough bowls and stuff like that. And then I thought better of that as well. I was watching Gail, and she did a blast from the past, I think she calls her segment. I mean, I liked it. I think she had Glitter Village as a full piece, and then I seen someone else that had done Snow Village as a full piece, and I liked the look of it. So I decided that it was a lot easier, because it was a Christmas thing. It's not something that's going to sit around all year. It would be a lot easier to have an envelope cushion where I can just, change my cushion covers, than to have, well, what is in there, 11, what is it, 4, 5, 8, 11 individual pieces to store for Christmas. And then I've also got Farm Village, is it Farm Village? Christmas something. I've got Glitter Village, and I've got another Christmas one that's got it's centered around the farm. And then I've got Jack Frost's Tree Farm. I have that one as well. So there's they were all for the Christmas time, and I'm like, yeah, I don't think that's going to work. So I've decided that Farmhouse Christmas is going to, and Jack Frost's Tree Farm are all going to be done in one piece. And then I'm going to so I've decided that as I was saying, Jack Frost's Tree Farm, that's going to be one piece and framed, and is not done on a blue fabric. It will be done on a primitive style fabric, and that I've dyed myself. And I've also done I've started Farmhouse Christmas, I think that's what it's called, It's another Country Cottage Needleworks one. And yeah, so I've started that one. I've just started doing the border. It's got a beautiful border that's supplied for free on their website. So I started doing that, and I started all these in the end of last year in preparation of having a massive year of stitching, and have done nothing with them. So I figured, well, I'm just going to work on this one until it's done, and then I will pull out periodically. I'll pull out the other ones and just do some stitching on them. You know, if I sat down and really concentrated on this and just worked on this alone, in probably 2 months I'd have it done. But because I'm only working on it once a week, but leading up to Christmas I might get a little bit carried away and do a little bit more. So yeah. All right, now let's just try that again. Let's get them in the right place for one, and then it might work a little bit better then. All right, so this one's got to come over here. I went the wrong way. It was supposed to be this way, and I went that way, so I went up and across instead of across here, because what that meant then is this part over this side wasn't going to work because it needed to be further up. So we'll go the opposite way so I'll get it in the right place. See, even I make mistakes. I make lots of mistakes. It's probably a good thing that you only see me once a week stitching. Because yeah, it is blatantly obvious that I can't count. And even when I think I've made a mistake and I'll go, oh no, I haven't made a mistake, I've still made a mistake. There's that, and I think that's another reason why I've stopped on Halloween Quaker, because there's a mistake in it. I've got to I actually have to pull out another thing and redo that because I've gone 1 or 2 rows too far. I don't have to pull out the whole thing, like the bottom of it is in the right place, but I've actually put in either 1 or 2 extra rows. I've got to recount it. I did count it and then just sat it in the naughty corner because I didn't want to talk to it anymore. Ah, yes, the workings of my brain. It's pretty scary. Oh. All right, so now I have ended the thread, the green thread. I've ended the red thread from here, and I started the top one there as well, and it is underneath there, so I can safely now snip that out and not worry about having to weave those. They're all woven in, they'll be all woven in as soon as I'm finished stitching. And you can see it's still just hanging there, so it will keep hanging there until I stitch into that hole. And for the most part, I like to come up in the center with Aida. Sometimes it doesn't happen because the Aida is a little bit thicker. There's a couple of different ways that I end things. It just depends on what I'm doing and how much thread I've got left. But for the most part, I generally just do the waist knot and then bury the threads and everything's on top, because one of my pet peeves is flipping my thing up and down, like, and especially when I am, what have I done there? Oh, I've done it again. Put a one in there that wasn't supposed to be in there yet. One of my pet peeves when I'm stitching is, especially when I'm filming stitching, is, excuse me, is flipping up and down, constantly flipping up and down. Because to do that, especially when I'm using this tabletop one, if I'm using my scroll bar, it's a lot easier to flip it because it's not in the clamp, and I don't have to unscrew everything and all that sort of stuff, or flip it up or anything like that. When I'm with my scroll bars, I can just lift it off and it's done. All right, that one's in the wrong spot. I can't even count to 3. All right, now let's try that again. I know that that one is in the right place. Now I'll look at it again. I've got to go one above and then one over, not one beside and then one down, because that's not going to work. Ooh. It's great having these large wonder clips to clamp stuff and all the rest of it, but sometimes it gets a little bit problematic with your thread when it's really long. It gets caught up around it. Now it's one across. I'll get there. Yeah, so what was I saying? Oh, back to the TV show. So yeah, I've been watching Lucifer, and I'm up to, as I said, I'm up to season 4 with that. So Chloe now knows and believes him, and Eve has come into it, and she's a promiscuous little soul, isn't she? For those that have watched it, she gets around, that girl. But yeah, I'm really enjoying it. Like, I don't watch it every single day. You know, I might watch one episode at lunchtime if I've been on my feet all day, and like, or I've been at the computer all day. My eyes might be sore, so I won't necessarily go and do any stitching. So it's good to just go and sit on the couch for a couple of hours and watch that. Oh, what else did I still put? Oh, I started watching New Amsterdam. So New Amsterdam, this is all on Stan here in Australia. I don't know what it's on in America for those that are from the US, but it's on oh, I thought I made another mistake then. No, I haven't. I'm thinking, why is that? No, it's alright. Call up the set. It's alright. I don't have to go searching for it where I've made the mistake. It's all good. I see what I've done. So yeah, so it's good to just go in and sort of sit down and watch the TV and all the rest of it. Now, I was watching Grey's Anatomy, and you know what? I actually, for my own mental health, had to stop watching that. I don't know. Is anybody else found this with Grey's Anatomy? That show, when I watch it, that puts me into a state of depression. It really does. Like, I mildly suffer from depression. I don't take any medication for it. I have, you know, dark moments, as we all do, and all the rest of it, and I sort of just go within myself and sort myself out and then get on with it. But that show can put me into a tailspin, and I got like hooked into it really badly. But then I was sitting there and I found that show can provoke the feels for sure. Really well done and whatnot, and obviously to be going, what is it, in its 18th year or something. It's one of the longest running TV series, apart from like your Days of Our Lives and stuff like that. You know, like, kudos to them for having a series like that. And I'd really like to watch it because I'm interested to see where the character of Meredith goes. But I think I got up to season 7 or 8 or something like that, and I just had to stop watching it because it was bringing me down. Like, it was bumming me out. I don't know whether, like, even the earlier ones, like when Izzy was in it, and then when George dies, like, it's just like, this show is just ripping my heart out, and it was just putting me in, because I could feel it. Like, I could feel I was getting depressed, and you know, along the theme of like Meredith and her strained relationship with her mother, and you know, not feeling loved, and then her father being a douche, and you know, her struggling with all that sort of stuff. Like, that sort of stuff hits home for me because I have not the same, but I have similar experience with my parents. My parents were non-events as far as I'm concerned, and just, you know, like, yeah, and then like the plane crash. God. And then all the characters that I love were just like dropping like flies, and I'm just like, what's going on? And but I'm not there for the romance side of things. I'm there for the struggles that they have. That's what I like about the show. Man, it bums me out. So anyway, I'm not really good with these sort of shows. Like, I love them, and I love medical dramas. Like, I love ER, and I love Grey's Anatomy, but I've had to stop watching it because of my mental health. I can see why you should only watch one episode a week. Because binging it is not good for your mental health. One, you don't go outside. Two, you're in the fields all the time. Like, yeah, Grey's Anatomy, it's like fluffy socks, fluffy blankets, tissue box, and a little waste paper bin, and some, I don't know, what is an antidepressant, Xanax or whatever. I don't even know. Zoloft, sorry. So, and a box of Zoloft to watch it. And so, yeah, so I, for myself, I might be able to get back to it. I've been reluctant to getting back to it. I stopped watching it about 2 years ago. I stopped watching it. I've just got to count. And because I just felt like, yeah, that's not good for my mental health, man. And then, like, and I, as I said, I love medical dramas. I love, I'm not a huge fan of, like, my husband loves a lot that to do with, like, the drug cartel and all that sort of stuff, like, and the criminal side of stuff. I'm the opposite in that. I like the shows like The Practice, and all that sort of stuff. So I like things where they're in the courtroom. You know, like, I'm a huge Perry Mason fan. I know that's so sad, but in my 20s, I used to sit there because Perry Mason used to be on, and I'm talking the old black and white I watched as well. Back in the day before there was, listen to me, how old am I? Back in the day before there were streaming services, I used to watch, like, the midday movie, and then I'd watch, and then, like, the midday movie on Channel 7, and then there would be like a news TV show or something like that, and then from 2 to 3, Perry Mason used to be on every day. That one, and what's the other one? Matlock is the other one that used to be on, and they used to swing between that. Oh, that's right, I used to watch Oprah as well, and that, you know, like, that was around nap time or feeding time for the babies and stuff like that, and I'd sit there and watch that, all that sort of stuff. I miss Oprah's show. I used to learn some good stuff off Oprah. I don't care what anybody says. That show was good. She should come back. Anyway, I digress. But I'd sit there and I'd love watching Perry Mason, and then The Practice came out. I'd watch that. You know, Law and Order, SVU. I didn't get into Law and Order on its own. I watched a little bit of it, and that sort of didn't do it for me. But Law and Order, SVU, and Criminal Intent, all over it. CSI, all those ones, all over those. And but my husband likes to watch the other, oh, I just dropped my needle, there it is. He likes to watch, that landed on my leg, how lucky was that? He likes to watch the drug cartel and all that sort of stuff. Like, yeah. And while I don't mind watching that, I don't necessarily get right into that side of stuff. I'm more like the side of it, like what they do after they're caught and stuff, like how are they going to get out of it and all that sort of, all right, where am I going with this? I'm going to start there and work my way down. So I am going to start here. I think will be the best thing for me. That way I'm not going to snip my threads. Yeah, so I like all those sort of things. So I started watching, oh, that's not where I was going to start. Nicole, go back out. Too much talking, not enough concentrating. I do a little bit of reverse stitching when it comes to that sort of stuff. I just go back where I came, stretch the holes open a bit. They go back in together all right, so it's not too bad. Yeah, so I watch all that sort of stuff, and then, as I said, I really like the medical dramas, and so I started watching New Amsterdam the other day. I started watching it when it first came out, and then it only had one season, and I thought, you know what, I started watching it. I think I got to like the second last episode. I can't remember now. When it first came out, and then I thought, you know what, I'm just going to wait until it comes back with a few more episodes and all the rest of it. Well, then the pandemic happened and whatnot. But now I think season 5 is coming out in September, and I've started watching it again. And so because it's been a while, I thought I'll rewatch it. Anyway, this is another one that's got all the feels in it too. I don't know how I'm going to go, but I've started watching it, and I like it. It's based around it's based on the book, and I think it's called 12 Patients Living and Dying or something along those lines. I think I'll have to get it, and I'll talk about it next. I'm actually curious to get the book, but yeah, so it's based on a story of the hospital in New York, and it's just got a new medical director. And I've watched, I think, 5 episodes, and if you haven't seen it, it's pretty good. Like it's pretty fast paced, and it's got some issues happening with different doctors and different things and how they're addressing it and all that sort of stuff. So I am going to really like this one, although it does have a bit of the feels. I think I am going to have to take the fluffy socks and fluffy blanket and the tissues. I don't think I'm going to need, but it is early days yet, I don't think I'm going to need the Zoloft. And I know that I don't get upset with me. I'm not making light of depression. My best friend suffers terribly with depression, and I know how dark it can really get. And I'm not making light of it at all. Although it may seem like that to someone that suffers with it. And if you are suffering with it and you need to talk to someone, please just reach out to someone. Don't suffer in silence. Even if it's just to send me an email and you want to say, hey, yeah, send me a message on Facebook or whatever. I would never make light of depression whatsoever, because I know how debilitating it can be. And as I said, my best friend suffers with it terribly, and she gets into some, like, she has phenomenal days and weeks and months and even years, but when she gets into her dark days, it's dark. And so I totally get it. But that's also why I am aware that these shows are not good to binge, because they keep you in that state of feeling bad, like, because you're feeling bad for the characters, you're feeling bad for the, like, you start getting too much feelings, and as I say, too much of one thing is not a good thing. So yeah, so I'm not making light of it, even though it does sound, I do understand the severity that depression can take. And if you've ever witnessed someone spiraling out of control, it's not a great thing to witness either. So, but anyway, so I don't know whether I'm going to sit down and actually binge them, but it's there for me to watch. So I've started watching it, and so far it's been, I think, a week and a half since I've started, and I'm up to episode 4 or 5, I think, maybe 6, I don't know. I think I've watched a couple a week I can handle, because then I can go and watch something like Breaking Bad where it's the other side of life. Or I can go and watch a legal drama or something along those lines. What have I watched in the way of movies? I haven't really watched any movies, to be honest. I did just read. I've been doing a lot of reading, so there hasn't been a lot of watching of movies. And the TV shows that I'm talking about, I'm only watching, 1 or maybe 1.5 a night. Like last night we watched 1 and then we went to bed. So, because it was cold, I was tired. Brendan was feeling all sore because he'd been working for 2 days straight over in the yard, and he was moving a lot of stuff and bending, and he was feeling all a bit he's got a bung knee as well, so that was a bit tender. He came home, put some deep heat on it, and I just said to him, we need to go to bed because you're not in a great way, and you need to sleep so you can get so your body can repair itself. And he did that. We went to bed at I didn't go to sleep until 10:30, but we went to bed at, I think it was 7:30, the old people that we are. And but he was in a lot better frame of mind this morning, and I said to him, he doesn't like baths, and I said to him, you have no idea the restorative effect that a bath can actually have on your body. I said, I have been right about many things. And he was feeling really ill too. He had a pizza yesterday. He said he felt really ill. And he goes, it's amazing how lemonade can just make you feel so better. And I don't know, I don't know. He said that he never had it when he was a kid, that he learnt it from me. But when I was a kid and we were sick, we always had lemonade, like flat lemonade if we had an upset tummy or anything like that. Did any of you do that as a child? Was that a thing when you were a kid, or was that just some weird ass thing that my family thought up and thought they'd just run with it? So we could, because we never had soft drinks or anything like that unless we went to Nuna's place on a Sunday. So it wasn't something that we purchased because they were expensive when you're only, you know, on a minimum wage, single income, and you're supporting a family of 5. Things, you know, we didn't have cordial, we didn't have soft drinks, we didn't have chocolates. My dad used to splurge once a month where he'd get himself a box of Cobbers or a box of Red Frogs and from the local store. But that's when like Cobbers and Frogs and everything was like a cent, not bloody 10 cents like it is now. But yeah, so he was sitting there and he was drinking lemonade, and he goes, it's amazing how lemonade just makes you feel your tummy feels so much better. And I just looked at him and I'm like, yeah, we've always had that. He goes, I never had that when I was a kid. And I didn't know that. I thought he did. And he goes, I learned that from you. And I'm like, oh, really? So that's why I'm curious. Did you do that? Like, is that something that you did? Like, as a kid, when you were sick, you got lemonade, and it was generally, it was either Kirk's or Schweppes. Most of the time for us, it was Schweppes. And like when I was with my nan, I can't remember, but I remember having lemonade. I'm not too sure what the brand was, but when I lived with my mum and dad, it was Schweppes. So I don't know how old the Schweppes brand is or anything like that. But yeah, that was quite interesting that he said that. I was and I said to him, well, if I was right about that, then do you think maybe you should listen to me about the bath? I said, tomorrow, if you're feeling sore when you come home, before you put deep heat on or anything, have a shower. Because he does it. He goes, I don't want to sit in my own filth. I said, well, you don't have to sit in your own filth. You can... It's very particular. I'm like, you can have a shower, then run a bath. No. And I said, I know you, because our bath is only small. I said, I know you won't be able to like lay down in the bath and that, but you can soak your legs and you can have an Epsom salt bath and just relax your muscles, because he's so tense all the time. Like, you have no idea how tense this dude can be. Like, he's just tense all the time, and I just think it will help him out a lot. So I've just finished up here. Now, normally you would stop your thread and all the rest of it, but I'm just coming down here. I'm actually going to do a jump thread, and I'm not opposed to doing a jump thread. So I'm just going to bring it down here, and we're getting pretty close to the hour, so I'm going to continue just stitching on. Sometimes if I do a jump thread and it's a bit long, I will snip it in half and then I'll weave it. And I don't actually have it out here. I've got a little like a little hooky thing. I don't even know what it's for. Like, it's not a sewing tool or anything like that. It looks like a little crochet hook, and you could use a crochet, or like a really fine crochet hook, and you can just sort of hook it under a thread, and then you can just pull it under your threads. In that case, that's what I sort of do, and that'll finish that off quite nicely. But I'm not opposed to a jump thread. Like, that's only on something this small. It's not gonna worry me too much. Now, I know that there's probably a few people out there clutching their pearls right now because I've done a jump thread and I didn't finish it off. But hey, this is not going into an exhibition by any means, and it's just for me. And then, you know, it's like, I try to avoid knots and stuff like that. Of course, sometimes I don't always get it right and I forget, especially when I'm coming from underneath. The top ones aren't that bad. But yeah, so I am not opposed to the jump thread. So hopefully, anyway, back to Brendan and his sore legs. Hopefully, because what happened, as you could imagine, while you're sitting here right now, close your eyes and think of a truck driver getting in and out of a truck. You've seen them do it. You see how they do it. They've got a long drop down, and they're told by workplace health and safety that they should swap knees, they should go down like particular ways and all the rest of it. But Now picture a tow truck driver. Yes, they're in a truck and all the rest of it. They're doing the same thing as a semi-trailer, like a semi-driver, but they're in a lot more rushed circumstances. So they're flat out. And, you know, the last thing you're thinking about is how you're getting in and out of the truck. And it's a repetitive. So it's like a repetitive strain injury, except it's on his knee because he comes down on the same knee all the time. And when I'm with him, I often remind him if his knee sore, I say to him, go out of the truck a different way, and he'll do that, and that gives that knee a bit of rest. But when he's on his own, he's not thinking. He's just got jobs to do. He's got people on the phone calling him constantly. Pick my car up here. I've done this. I've broken here, and I need this for that. And so he's constantly on the phone trying to have a conversation with the man. I'm better off calling him and talking to him on the phone because I'm not getting interrupted. But trying to have a conversation with him face to face doesn't always go to plan because the phone will ring 300 bloody times. So that also makes it extremely hard. Now this should be able to, yep, all right. It makes it extremely hard to have a conversation with him when it's like that. It's just flat out all the time. But, you know, you get that on some of these bigger jobs. All right, so I can cut this out now, and then I've got, this is all going to be one way. So I'm going to go this way for half the leg and then come back, and then I'll go this way, and then I'll do full crosses that way. And I do mix and match. Now I know that people say you should stitch it this way and only stitch it this way, so if I'm doing the half legs I should only do the half legs and then come back. If I do full crosses I should only do full crosses. I mix and match it. The main focus for me is to try and get it as neat as possible on the back, but I don't overly stress about it. As I said, I don't care if I've got jump threads and all that sort of stuff. And I know some people obsess over that. I'm here for the enjoyment of the stitching, not for the technicality of it. But I have been asked by a few people on how they do things. So in this case, you know, I've just done some white stitches here, and this whole row under here is all white. So I'll just come down to the next row from where I finished, and I'll just, so I can travel back, so I don't have to have a jump thread. It's neat enough for me on the back, and my crosses are all exactly the same. So I always go, I try to come up in a hole where there is no stitching, but that's not always the case. So for this I'm going to be coming up from the bottom right going to the top left, and then when I bring the leg over from the other one, I'll come through the top right and down into the bottom left, if that makes sense. Or I might do it vice versa. It just depends where I end and what I do. But for the most part, my bottom leg is always going from the bottom right to the top left. That's, you know, what I like to do, and then that way it keeps everything nice and neat. When I first started stitching, I used to stitch in hand, and I still do that occasionally. I never stitch in hand for white, because it doesn't matter how slow you go, how much you railroad, how much you do this, how much you do that. When you hand stitch in hand, the white just looks atrocious, but every other color looks fine except for white. Cream even looks better than white when you stitch in hand. But now that I've got this, like, I can stitch in hand pretty quickly. It's been a while since I've done it, but I really like this frame that I'm using, and it just goes really, really well, really quick for hand stitching. I mean, two-hand stitching. So I changed up my style a little bit, and I just feel like I can get a lot more done. Obviously, when I'm, you know, yapping on like I am, that doesn't always go. It's not always conducive to fast stitching, if that makes sense. But when I do it this way, it seems to go a lot faster. And sometimes what I'll do, if I know that I've got a bit of traveling coming up, I will sit down and I will pick a project that is all DMC, because as you've seen, when I use the fancy floss, I done one cross at a time, but when I'm doing the white, I'm just like scooting along because there's no variation in it, so it doesn't make too much of a difference. And I'm going to stop at the side of the house, even though this extends past. Last time I went too far and I had to pull some out, so I don't want to do that again. So I'm just going stitch this row. So now what I'm going to do is just come back, and then when I go this way I will just I'll do the full crosses to this way, and then that way it'll give me my, I'll be able to go backwards and forwards, and that's just a way of, so I don't have to stop and start. And as I said, I am not super stressed about what is happening on the back of the pattern. So yeah. So what else have I been doing? So that's all my TV watching. Oh, that's what I was going to say. I read a really good book this week, and it was called Memoirs of a Geisha, because I was talking about movies. Welcome to my world of jumping around in my brain. Sorry if you can't keep up, but that's just how my brain works. So anyway, and no, I'm not ADD or anything else. I have very fast thought processes, and I can think of multiple things at one time, and sometimes it can be distracting, and sometimes it is really good, a useful tool when having conversations. It's not so great because I have, you know, a whole myriad of things happening in my head right now. And yeah, anyway, I read Memoirs of a Geisha, and so now I want to watch the movie to do a comparison. From what I've seen on the trailer, I don't think it's the same, to be honest. And so I'm going to be talking about Memoirs of a Geisha on my channel, on my book channel, so you'll be able to see that. So if you haven't gone over to my book channel, make sure you head on over. The link is down below. You can also find the links over on the community tab as well. And yeah, come over, say hi, and you get to hear about all the books that I am reading. But what I might do is, after I've talked about that book, I'm going to watch the movie as well, and I might do a little bit of a chat on one of the Stitch With Me's here about the comparison. And I just recently did that. I haven't done it on the book channel. I just recently read what was it, Gone Girl, and prior to that I read The Girl on the Train by Paula Hawkins, I think it was, and Gone Girl was by Gillian Flynn, I want to say. So I read those books. I read Girl on a Train last year, and I talked about it on the channel here. And I just recently seen that the movie was on our streaming services, so I watched the movie, and I really enjoyed it. So basically, for those that don't know, I will talk. I might actually do that next week, and I'll talk about the comparisons between Gone Girl and Girl on a Train, because I have actually spoken about Girl on a Train on this channel, so it can continue on that. But yeah, I actually enjoyed it. Gone Girl, not so much, but that's probably because I don't like Ben Affleck. I don't like him as an actor. I think he's a terrible actor. I'm sorry for those that are fans of his. I don't know. He's a good, so like, as a main character, I don't like him as much. As a supporting actor, I think he brings a lot to the table. Does that make sense? I'm sure that does make sense to people. And I'm not a movie critic by a long shot, and I have never really followed his career, but everything that I've watched with him as a main character, I've not really gelled with. But when he is a supporting character in a show, I find him to be better for my taste, I guess. So yeah. But anyway, so you can see here now that I am just like, we'll just jump to another conversation. So you can see here that my crosses are all still going the same way, but now I'm just doing one at a time, and they still look the same. I think a lot of it comes down to your tension with white. You've got to get the right tension, and I seem to get the right tension when I'm doing two-handed stitching, whether it be one leg at a time or a full cross at a time. I try, for the most part, I do try to just do one style of stitching, but when I've got something like this where it's like a block color, it's a lot easier to, like, you can see up here, there is really no difference between how this is stitched and how this is stitched. This light green was stitched one cross at a time, and the green was stitched one leg at a time. So I went there and back, and then I went down here, and then I went there back, there, back, and you know, whichever, I don't know which way I went, but do you know what I mean? And the same with this. I with the house, the slope on the house, I tend to muck these up all the time, so I did one cross at a time and I counted it. But you know, for the, as you've seen with the green, I had done half the leg, and for this one here it was just backwards and forwards, so I've done half a leg, and then come back and done it because it wasn't a fancy floss or anything like that. But any sort of over dyed threads, so whether it be, you know, Classic Colourworks, Weeks Dye Works, Gentler Arts, Silks for You, any of those ones, I will do one cross at a time. So anything that is a dyed thread, that's the way I go. And it just, yeah, and I just bury my threads like I've shown you today. But I'm going to wrap it up for today. I think that's enough waffling on for me. I really, again, I appreciate you taking some time out and spending it and listening to me prattle on about the things that I've been doing, watching my general thoughts, and also my weirdness of jumping around of conversations and whatnot. So if you've enjoyed this video today, please give me a thumbs up down below, and don't forget to leave me a comment. Leave me a, what can you leave me today? Well, we've talked about some movies, to TV shows and all the rest of it, so find your TV emoji or a video camera emoji and leave that down below if you've made it this far, and tell me what you were working on today. I'd be very interested to know what you worked on. And don't forget that we had a FlossTube went up a couple of days ago, so go and check that out. I have a finish and I worked on some other things, so go suss that out and see what I had to show you. And if you're looking for something to make, don't forget we had our recent video that went up for a sewing tutorial was another take on the bowl cozy, so you can go and watch that out. All right, that is it from me today. Have a lovely day, everybody. Thank you for joining me again, and I will see you all again next week. Bye for now.